Hello dear community and welcome to our next live stream. We are still at Darwin Circle Conference, great day, great event here, and fantastic speakers and companies. One of which is with us now, Daniel Gamber, Director Global Business from BYTON. Daniel, welcome.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
Daniel, you're going to help us now to rethink the mobility of the future. So you're building a new vehicle on the highest innovation level, so to say. You're a venture-backed company. The last Series B took place at, is that official data that I can say? At half a billion dollars valuation, which probably makes you a unicorn. So I'm very excited to talk to you about many things, about the innovation, about the future mobility. And let's start with a short pitch. What exactly do you do? What's your USP? What's your company doing?
Thank you. So we are reinventing the way that you move from A to B. We think that the concept of giving users time back in vehicles is crucial. We're wasting significant time in traffic today, and we are reinventing the user experience in vehicles. We talk about the next generation smart device on wheels. So we think it's about data power in the future. It's about services that you can use on your way. That is what we are focusing on.
What does that mean in terms of defining your product? Are you going to be building cars yourself, or are you just going to provide software and interior, so to say, of these vehicles?
So what we are doing, we have combined talent across industries. So we bring together the best of both worlds, automotive and digital, so tech industry and traditional automotive industry. We are building a vehicle, but we focus very much on the user experience. So we are developing strong software, connectivity and security for our vehicle. On top of that, we are industrializing a vehicle. First one is going to be an SUV. We call it Smart Intuitive Vehicle, actually. We're going to hit the market in China first, then US in 2020, Europe in 2020. So we look at a global launch with a smart connected device on wheels.
We see, for example, with companies such as Tesla, that they do have some trouble in providing or producing these vehicles. So do you have the production line secured for the amount of the vehicles that might be needed?
So we are fully backed in China. We have a site in Nanjing, close to Shanghai, where we're currently ramping up our manufacturing site. First prototypes are already leaving the plant. Very impressive to see. Now we're crash testing everything that you need to make a vehicle homologated for the market. That is currently happening, and it's very tangible, and it's beautiful to see that coming to life.
Let's have a look at the vehicle at the interior side. My colleague will play some pictures now. And can you explain some USPs on the interior side? What was the philosophy behind it?
So the eye-catching thing is obviously our large screen. We call it a shared experience display, which will deliver great content and experiences to all users in the car. So we will move away from driver orientation as of today towards user orientation. So every passenger has the same value and should experience the same in the car. We have an open platform that we use, so we bring in the relevant content for you that you would like to use, be it entertainment, be it communication. We have health applications that we are using in the car and integrating. So you'll interact with the car very naturally by touch, voice, gesture control. That is all going to be part of the experience. We call it a digital lounge.
But then how do you actually define your business? Are you into automotive? Are you into marketplaces? Are you into media business? What's your core business actually in terms of business models?
Very good question. On the one hand, we will also sell the car, we will finance, lease the car, but we will also provide subscriptions. So moving away from pure ownership to just usage-based models. Car sharing, ride sharing will be a topic for us. You as a user of a BYTON, you'll be able to share your vehicle with your friends, with your peers in the time that your vehicle is not being used. So everything is centered around the concept of time and the user journey, so to say.
What are the USPs of the software that you're going to be providing inside of the car? What kind of technologies are you implementing?
So first of all, it's all going to be very seamless. So you'll have one BYTON ID that will be connected to your personal identity, which will open up once you enter the car. You'll be recognized by face recognition, and then your profile shows up. So that is unique. On the other hand, you will have a very open platform that allows us to integrate your relevant music streaming, video streaming, communication, such as video conferencing. That is a very exciting, let's say, user experience on the one hand, and we'll work with the best partners across the world, be it China, US, or Europe ultimately.
Do you develop this software on your own team?
Yes, we do. We have a strong developer team in Santa Clara, California, in the Silicon Valley. So we make use of the heart of such technology. Strong development stack in China. We were working with a lot of strong developers to make that experience happen, and it's an in-house development effort.
I've mentioned that you have been developing your product so far obviously without having revenues yet because you're still developing the product, venture capital backed. I think the first round was a quarter of a billion euro dollars, and the second one half, $500 million. Where does this money come from, and how long can you actually work on your product? How much costs you have in developing this product?
That's a very capital-intensive business, as you can imagine. So we just closed the $500 million B round. We're now moving towards the C round. Currently moving with a very, let's say, China-focused investor base. Now looking for strategic investors for the C round on a more global level, because we're a global brand rooted in China. So we want to make sure that this is also reflected on the investor base.
You've been mentioning China a couple of times. Is Europe or America sleeping in these terms? Are Chinese, so to say, far more visionary and future-oriented in terms of investment in the mobility sphere?
We experience tremendous speed in China, but also in the US, and very open-mindedness in Europe as well. The breeding ground in China for such technology is great. We can move very fast. From the first talks in Nanjing to the first prototype plan, so to say, was just 18 months, which is impressive. So you can move very quickly if you find the right ecosystem, and that we will experience and leverage for us.
Now, obviously, the global competition is also not sleeping. We hear about a lot of startups developing their products, be it in Silicon Valley or the automotive industry. The big brands worldwide are thinking about autonomous driving, thinking about smart cars. Where do you see the development of your competitors?
It's a very dynamic field, if you call it like that. Both the established players look into digital data-enabled services. We see a lot of new entrants in the market, be it in China or in the US, also in Europe. So we appreciate competition, which will make the ultimate products better. Especially on the topic of electrification, you see a lot of strong attempts to push that technology. For us, this is the new standard. So we now look into smart, connected mobility. We look into autonomous technology, which is what we will tackle as BYTON.
Does that mean that you have not yet started developing your product in terms of being autonomous driving, or is this already implemented in your core technology?
It will be part of our core technology, so we look at first functionality in terms of level 3 for market launch end of next year. We are working with strong partners such as Aurora on level 4, level 5 technology, so we look at strong partnerships to make these things happen.
Do you have also partners on the OM side, on the like big car producing companies?
We have a big cooperation in China with FAW, which is a very large Chinese manufacturer. And in terms of making powertrain happen, so to say, we have a strong collaboration with Bosch. So as you can see, we use, let's say, technology that is available, and we focus on the points that we would like to use as a differentiation for us, which is the user experience, the software, and everything happening around the smart car.
Now, we're talking about rethinking mobility. Obviously, the car is only one aspect of it. We have trains, we have buses, we have planes, we have, so to say, autonomous driving taxis in the future. Where do you see the future of mobility in urban cities, for example, in the next 5 years and maybe in the next 20 years?
That's a very good question, and I think it will be about intermodal traffic and routing to make sure that everything is seamless and connected. So you want to go from A to B in the most efficient way, seamlessly connected. So you'll be looking at last mile solutions. You'll be looking at a connected, let's say, public transport system to individual mobility, which will always be relevant for our users. So you'll see an increasingly merging, let's say, infrastructure, so to say. And there are a lot of strong attempts in terms of smart cities, where you see very strong pilot projects out there that will show to the world that this is possible.
Your vehicle will stay on the ground, or is it
going
to fly?
Not yet.
Okay. In terms of business models, where do you see the strongest revenue streams coming? I mean, you have now $750 million venture capital in your company without having €1, $1 of revenue streams. So where do you believe these revenue streams to be possible in the future?
So in order to, let's say, ramp up a stable company, we will focus on the industrialization in China, get the vehicle out in quality at a very affordable premium price in order to, let's say, achieve scale, build a profitable business. And then on top of that, over time, we'll look at digital services that we will monetize, but that we always provide value add to the user. That is very key to us. The user experience will always be in focus. And then on top of that, what we talked about earlier, mobility services will be a part of our business model in the future.
What about, so to say, the fueling of the car? What kind of engine is it going to be? Electro? What kind of technologies do you believe in to be crucial in the future for vehicles?
Of course, we talk about electric vehicles. That is the new normal for us. In order to make that feasible in a daily life, we'll be working with, let's say, infrastructure providers and charging networks across the globe to provide a seamless charging experience to our customers. We'll be offering 2 range variants, rear wheel, front wheel drive, so some classic vehicle architecture aspects. But then on top of that, we'll make sure that wherever you are, we don't leave you alone.
When you look at your competition worldwide, how do you define your USPs? Where do you think that you do things better, faster, more efficient?
So we have a unique chance since we are building a company from scratch on a white sheet of paper. So we can build internal structures and the customer experience in the right way, right from beginning. What we will do is we'll provide a seamless customer journey across all touch points, whether it's the app, online, the vehicle. You will always feel accompanied by the company, and that will be a very fantastic journey.
But Tesla promises that as well, I think. Or do you think you can do some things better than them?
We'll be looking at over-the-air updates, which is also part of the new normal in the future. So we'll provide you with something that you are used to from the smartphone technology already, from your apps that you use on a daily basis. And then on top of that, especially if you take after sales, for instance, smart diagnostics, predictive maintenance, there are some very exciting topics that come up, which means that we will know what happens to your vehicle. We can service it, we can update it, we can make that an updated, let's say, smart device on a daily basis.
How big is your company in terms of development power, the team that you have gathered around the world?
So when I started in April last year, we were 70 colleagues across the globe. We are now over 1,200 across locations. We have a team of 400 engineers in Santa Clara in the Silicon Valley. We have a strong team in Nanjing, Shanghai, Beijing, Hong Kong, where we have satellite offices. We have a strong design team in Munich, focusing on vehicle design. And we currently also work with the Future Interaction Lab in Los Angeles, which we just opened a few months ago, where we even take one step further and look at future interaction technology.
How easy or difficult is it for you to get the proper talent on board to help you develop this idea?
Yeah, once we talk about what we are trying to achieve, people get very excited, and you feel that among the colleagues also. It's a great place to work at, and we'll continuously be hiring across the globe. It's going to be a great journey, and yeah, we were happy to welcome additional talent at all times, and that works very well so far.
One question is also very interesting to me. We have been talking with the Ministry of Transportation of Austria, and for Austria now they mentioned that they have some studies. If we continue, so to say, buying the cars at the current pace, be it electric or whatever other cars, we would have a permanent queue on the highway in 2030. So it seems to be that sharing the cars, the principle of shared economy, are crucial to the future of mobility. Is that something that you see as well and that you share, or would you think that everybody will own and buy cars in the future?
I think it moves more and more towards shared mobility. We will see both, and it's going to be an evolutionary aspect where you see mixed concepts, obviously. And then it's crucial to really connect vehicles, to have them talk to each other, to talk to infrastructure. So V2X communication, as we call it, is crucial in order to make sure that your vehicle is not just, let's say, a lone nut somewhere out there, but it's fully connected to the ecosystem. Then you can steer traffic, you can make sure that the car finds the parking spot much quicker in the future, and that traffic is also more seamless, which will reduce queues, which reduce commuting time, and also the time to look for parking spots, for instance.
Is this scenario going to happen, let's say, in this century, or is it going to happen in the next 10 years, or how long is the migration phase going to take place?
Well, we see that in corners of the world already. So very credible attempts of making such strong use cases happen. So there are a lot of test cases right now across the globe. In my neighborhood in Silicon Valley, I see the Waymo self-driving cars circling around at all times. So that is very tangible already. And if you ask about, let's say, a more broad spread of such use cases, we'll probably see that across the next 5 years, I would say.
In Europe as well?
Yeah, obviously across the globe, because it's always about, let's say, demand and supply. Once this technology is available, you will see cities and regulators moving faster because the products and the services are there, ready to go. So we'll see a more interconnected and also public-private collaboration in the future.
Austrian experts seem to believe that the regulatory side is not going to move as fast, at least in Europe? Or do you have more optimistic view on that?
Well, I think it's about the dialogue that we engage in here at the conference and across the globe. We have very, let's say, futuristic attempts and also, let's say, strong believers in this technology, and they will make sure that the message comes across, and we are always happy to engage in such dialogue as well.
What is the big vision of your company?
To give time back to you. You're using hours and hours in traffic, and the future will be very exciting because imagine you can take off the hands of your steering wheel at some point. You might leave workplace much earlier and see your family much earlier because you're able to take your last video conference call in the car in the future.
Maybe final question, I forgot to ask you that beforehand. Obviously in the field of autonomous driving, we've been discussing the, let's say, ethics and technology security issues all the time as well. Is this something that you're very confident that can be easily solved, or is that a big issue in developing your product? The security, cyber security, and the ethics, so to say, how can machines, autonomous working machines, make decisions that might comply with our value systems?
Well, so first of all, it's a great chance to enhance the user experience by learning, right, about let's say the vehicle and about the behavior. On the other hand, we take the topic of security very seriously. We have a very experienced and strong team coming in from tech players in the Silicon Valley, and when I look at them, how they work, what they do, I'm very excited and very confident that this will be benchmark once we hit the market. And obviously across the globe, we see various standards in terms of data security, and we will fully comply and make sure that this is a very secure and safe vehicle, because it's communicating at all times with the cloud between vehicles. So this is very key to us.
We have an awesome company in Austria, TT Tech, double T Tech. Have a look at them. They have mega security software built in the Audi A8, which is currently, I think, the highest developed autonomous driving cars with their technology. So it might be something useful. They have cooperation with Samsung worth of $100 million and so on and so forth. Daniel, it was very, very interesting talking to you. I'm excited actually about this future of mobility. I obviously wish you could told me it's happening next year because that would make our lives easier and more comfortable and better. But if you think that that's somehow reality in the next 5 years, I'm also very fine with that.
Very exciting. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and thank you for staying with us. We'll come back in approximately half an hour. Stay tuned, and we'll see you later.